Hey there guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are doing deck building staples. We're doing artifact generic draw. These things will work in any deck, any color, they're just generalized. You're not locked into a certain color or tribe or playstyle or anything like that. So I've kind of grouped them into similar themes or categories. So first up are your group hug deck cards. So things like Temple Bell and Howling Mine, which just let everyone draw cards. With Temple Bell, it's just simply you tap, everyone draws. Howling Mine, you can try and toggle it on and off if you have effects that let you tap down Howling Mine itself, but beginning of each upkeep, each player draws a card. Then you got things like Horn of Greed, which is just, might as well say landfall, everyone draws a card. And then you got Font of Mythos, if you want to get nutty. At the beginning of each player's draw step, they draw 2 additional cards, so 3 cards per turn for each player. Really good in like your close friend 4-player group where you just go nuts. The Anvil is pretty good too, like each player draws an additional card, no ditching phase, but it's reserve list, it's like $50, so probably not, thought I'd mention it anyway. Then you got things like Mind's Eye, which 5 mana, it's mid to late game, but it's pretty good. Whenever your opponent draws a card, you can just pay 1 to draw a card. It will fit into any deck, really does excel. You've probably got 1 odd mana floating around just to get your free card. Then Coercive Portal, something I've loved for a long time. 4 mana, Will of the Council. Pretty much, you're gonna pick wreck the board or draw a card. That's the summary of it. You go around the table, you do the vote. Most of the time, you get to draw your card, but eventually the table will decide, alright boys, time to sack this shit off and wreck the board. Tome of Legends is really quite a good card. Basically, 2 mana. Every time a commander enters or attacks, put a counter on it. You can pay 1, tap, remove the counter, draw a card. Really excels on certain commanders. Things like Norn the Wary, which is a commander which keeps coming and going, tons of counters. Real combat heavy decks that either just attack a lot in general or have multiple combats, or commanders that you can flicker, blink, reset, whatever. If you can do it, this will draw you a ton of cards, and it's cheap at 2 mana, I really do like it. Then Tome of the Guild Pact. Whenever you cast a multi-card spell, draw a card. Depending on how you've built your deck, that's a lot of free draw, and itself is a mana rock at 5 mana. If it didn't have the mana rock part, I'd be kind of like, not too onto it, but the fact that you can tap for mana is pretty cool. Cosmos Elixir, I actually really like this despite it being like a 50-cent jank rare. Beginning your end step, draw a card if your life total is greater than your starting amount, otherwise gain 2 life. I like it. At 4 mana, it's just passive, it's just in the back line, just doing its thing. At worst, you gain 2 life, at best you draw a card, I like it. Now Staff of Nin, I have a soft spot on my heart for this card. It has saved me so many games or clutched so many moments for me in Magic. 6 mana is expensive, it's definitely late game stuff. You do draw a card at your upkeep, so pretty much an extra card, but tap, deal 1 damage to any target. I love it. The thing has picked off so many tokens, finished off planeswalkers. I've actually killed 2 players with it before in 1 game. It is my favorite little mana rock draw piece thing ever. I love it. It's just clutch. Yeah, 6 mana is pretty expensive though. Seer's Sundial and Endless Atlas kind of do the same thing, but in different kind of decks. So the Sundial is better if you're running like a red-green heavy landfall ramp deck. Landfall, land enters, pay 2, draw a card. But it's 4 mana to cast it and 2 mana to activate every time. Where the Atlas is only 2 mana to cast, 2 mana to activate, but it's a tap, so you can only use it once per turn in most situations. So if you're a real heavy ramp deck, Sundial's good. The Atlas in a normal deck is a better option, but the Atlas has a second problem where you have to have 3 lands of the same type. So probably a 2-color deck running quite a few basics to get you 3 name lands. The Archive. Gotta say, itself doesn't draw cards, but it is a beast if you have any other draw on your deck. So if you gain life, double up. If you draw cards except for your first one and you draw phase, draw double instead. Really powerful. Any other draw, you're living the dream. Slave of Ancestry is a nutty card. If you have any creature presence whatsoever, the thing's a beast. At 4 mana, you ditch your hand, draw a card for each creature you control. You can just, I don't know, token deck, go to town, 3 creatures just on the board chilling, 4 mana to draw 3 cards. I'm not against it. It is pretty good. And then you have the 2 Oris. You've got Chromatic and Gira. So with Chromatic, it is expensive at 7 mana. No beating around that. But you can fix all your mana, itself taps for 5 mana, and pay 5, tap, draw a card for each color among permanents you control. Depending what deck you're running this in, it's gonna be a beast either way. Like tapping for 5 mana is pretty good, but even a 2-color deck, you're gonna draw 2 cards, 3 color. It's not bad. If your commander's a big fat juicy 5-color, draw 5 cards. It scales better in certain decks, of course. And you got the Gira, which everyone plays additional lands, but at the beginning of each player's upkeep, if they have no hand, they draw 3 cards. I really like that. It really supports you can like full on aggro, just flinging out your hand and trying to get ahead. Man, Ancestral Recall on a random artifact, if you can pull it off, that would be fun. The Mortal Sun, I'm not sure about it. Like, you just draw an additional card, but it does a lot of other things too, so I thought it was worth a mention. Your Planeswalkers are locked down. You draw an additional card. Spells cost 1 to cast, and your creatures get a buff. It's just doing a lot of things, so it probably could fit. But at 6 mana, it's pretty late game. So now these three, I wasn't sure really where to put them, so I'm just gonna put them together as the oddballs. Loreseeker Stone, really cool. Late game 6 mana thing. Pay 3 to tap to draw 3 cards, but it costs 1 more for each card in your hand already. So depending where you activate it, if you've decked your hand up, perfectly fine. 3 mana, draw 3, loving it. But if your hand's full at 7, you're paying 10 mana to draw 3 cards, which probably ain't that great. Then Skull Clamp, worth a mention. If you've got any creature at all in your deck, Skull Clamp is worth running. Whether you have little 1/1s that run around the battlefield that you can just nom 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 nom, draw tons of cards, or put it onto bigger things you can sack out, or just throw it on chump blockers or really bad combat, just throw it around, be reckless, draw tons of cards. Brainstone is literally Brainstorm as a rock. But the reason why I mentioned it is, of course, it's generic, anyone can run it. Total of 3 mana to activate, which isn't that bad out of blue, but the fact it's 1 mana, if you have any form of permanent return, resurrection, anything like that, could be a good little loop option for some people, some card value there. Sensei's Top, I have to mention it, it is good, it is really good. It's very slow and painful to verse. It's also $50, $60 depending which printing you go for, so whether it's the draw for your commander deck, I don't know. It does help some decks that filter through the top of the deck a lot or play off the top quite a bit, but you know, $50, $60. Now these two are kind of weird old things I like to mention. Well of Knowledge is on the reserve list, not too expensive yet, it's still $10. Really cool. Any player may pay 2 mana during the draw phase to draw a card. You can spam it. So if you have 4 mana floating around, draw 2 extra cards. Why not? It's interesting. If you've got good mana production, mana loops, just free mana, mana rocks open, it's extra card draw. And then Credit Voucher. Not a money card, it's like $1, but it's kind of cool. A 2 mana cast, 2 to activate and sack. Shuffle any number of cards from your hand into your library, then draw that many. It's cool to have that replacement effect outside of like red and blue. I'm not against it, honestly. If you have just a total bad hand, you drew a big spell, got a lot of crap, 2 mana to reset and try again, I'm not against it. But then you've got all your little rocks, your baubles, your spheres, your stars, just your little cheap things that they enter or leave, draw your card. They often do some mana filtering or look at your hand or do something like that. They are weird little things to have, but depending on your deck, there could be some extra filtering there for you, or you could return them, some playstyles, resurrection, a bit extra value there. Depends on the deck you're in, but some people like to run them. And then you have Mind Stone level 1, 2, and 3 through Hedron Archive and the Dreamstone Hedron. They are good because they are mana rocks, and mid-late game when you're done with them, just sack them off, draw a ton of cards. Alright, what do you think of that for like generic artifact draw that can fit into most playstyles? I do like the Credit Voucher. I think it's kind of underrated. It's a cool effect, like outside of blue and red, just to have it to reset a hand isn't a bad option. I personally, because I'm a greedy player, I do not like the group hug kind of draw effects. I don't play with them because stuff you, I'm trying to kill you. I don't want you drawing 3 cards. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. What kind of artifact draw do you run in your commander decks? Alright guys, have a good one and catch you later. See ya. If you enjoyed the video or found it helpful, guys, give the video a like, helps out the channel a lot. Please consider subbing. I think for my next video, I'm gonna do a Loro. Is that Loro? The big giant dude that sits on the throne, gains your life, just vibing. I think I might do him next. And to my patrons, I cannot thank you guys enough for your direct support. You guys are like a little YouTube family to me. And be safe during Christmas, everyone, patrons and viewers. Just everyone be safe. Thank you guys. Have a good one.